Hello, dear friends. The situation on the ground has turned into a madhouse of lost people in a maze of distorting mirrors, according to Poet Dog. Opinion piece. April opens opportunities. New timeline. Global stress test. Accelerated change. Resurrection protocol. The transition has already been agreed. Let's start. Emmanuel Dyer posits that a new timeline for humanity began in April 2026, characterized by a process of accelerated collective change. He describes this change as a central realignment affecting both human beings and the planet's systems, bringing to the surface what is no longer useful so it can be recognized and transformed. This new stage offers the opportunity to create a different reality based on values such as cooperation, compassion, unity, equity, and collective well-being, instead of structures that benefit only a few. He also states that the process can generate confusion, fear, or chaos, and that these are considered a normal part of awakening. Therefore, it is important to respect the different paces of human beings in this process. Dyer emphasizes that the mind tends to resist change through protective mechanisms and proposes approaching it with understanding and calm to facilitate adaptation to new ways of thinking and acting. Another relevant aspect is the focus on healing, both individually and collectively, as well as on the planet, indicating that humanity is becoming more aware of its relationship with the Earth, with other human beings, and with itself. Furthermore, he mentions awakening of all systems based on control, fear, and hierarchy, along with the emergence of new forms of organization more centered on consciousness, community, and holistic practices. Finally, it described this period as a transition toward a greater awareness of the spiritual nature of humankind, encouraging us to leave behind limiting patterns and adopt new ways of living aligned with this perception. Reset News. According to the briefing 17th, everything is happening right now in preparation for July 4th. It involves rebuilding the monetary system step by step, publicly and without announcing everything at once. We are waiting to see if this will be accompanied by a more formal announcement about the monetary architecture. We will know by the end of the summer. According to Ethan White of Gay-Stellar, the Quantum Financial Settlement Act was passed by Congress, establishing an asset-backed currency and ending the old fiat system to eliminate illegitimate debts, reform the income tax, create prosperity funds with recovered assets, and restore sound money. The current work involves dismantling the old controlled system. Quantum security is being used to prevent interference in financial transactions. All accounts will become asset-backed and eligible citizens will be able to benefit from debt relief. Seizure of power. According to Juan O'Savin, there is a planned seizure of power using pressure, substitutions, and control of institutions to replace the current system with a new one. What is happening in politics, economics, and international conflicts is not accidental, but rather part of a coordinated plan. The current system is not being reformed gradually, but is being completely dismantled. A new system is being implemented in its place. To achieve this, 3 pillars have already been secured: that judges will not block the changes, that the military will enforce them, and that the justice system will prosecute anyone who opposes them. He argues that the group is taking control of key institutions. In his view, The geopolitical decisions seen in public are not for official reasons, but rather tools within that plan. Visible conflicts or crises serve as a distraction while power shifts occur behind the scenes. He also suggests that important figures within the system are being replaced to ensure their loyalty. Compromising information exists about many powerful figures, and it is used to pressure them into obeying or changing their stance. This is why some people who previously opposed the current regime now support it. Resurrection. Axios 4b claims that an operation is currently underway to replace the existing financial system, that central banks are in crisis and concealing losses through their accounting records, though their accounting records have been exposed, that a controlled collapse of the financial markets is taking place, that the economic chaos is deliberate and necessary to pave the way for a new financial order, and that recent major events are signs of a larger shift. In his view, the so-called Resurrection Protocol or Golden Dawn Protocol is already active. He says the old guard has left and their replacements are waiting for the signal. Activating the QFS requires a stress test. The 1,700-point drop was a tremor, but the earthquake is coming. The operation has now reached its climax. As the stock market plummets, the IMF warns of a domino effect. The financial bulwark of the cabal is collapsing in real time. And while the markets crash, the new architecture is being permanently consolidated. The transition has already been negotiated, and the rebirth has been announced. The old system must die so that the new one can emerge. The transition to the QFS requires a global stress test. This means markets will crash and panic will spread. Don't fear the crash. This is the controlled demolition of the central banking cartel. Nothing can stop what's coming. This is not a coincidence. This is a synchronized takeover of deep state. The system isn't reformed. It's reset. The QFS doesn't need a law passed by Congress. It needs a court that won't block it, a military that will enforce it, and a Justice Department that will prosecute anyone who tries to stop it. All three are already in place. The structure that took certain families 200 years to build is being dismantled, and it's being done in just 35 days. We were warned that the Epstein files would expose everyone, and they were right. But the files were never the ultimate goal, but rather the tool of pressure. Names aren't released to destroy people. The names are being published to control them. The message argues that recent events are not coincidental, but rather part of a coordinated plan to seize control of hidden power structures. It claims that economic and political decisions don't have the officially announced objectives, but are instead strategic maneuvers within a larger shift toward a new financial system. It also suggests that international conflicts serve as a distraction while this shift occurs. He states that an operation is underway, nearly complete, in which key figures of power are being replaced to concentrate control in a single authority. The text posits that compromising information exists in Epstein's files about many influential people, and that this information will not be used simply to make it public, but as a tool of pressure to force politicians, judges, and military personnel to obey or change sides. According to this view, those who have suddenly changed their stance or support the current leadership are doing so because they are being pressured with disinformation. In his view, there are no real negotiations taking place. Those who control the system are simply buying time. He argues that central banks have massive hidden losses that are now coming to light, and that the collapse of a major financial institution would only be the beginning of a chain reaction. He says that those who previously controlled the system have already been replaced by others who are expected to act soon. A new financial system is being prepared, but first it needs a kind of global test which consists of triggering sharp market crashes. The recent stock market decline is just a warning of something much bigger to come. He claims that an operation has been underway for weeks and is now in its final stages. While the markets are falling and fear is being generated, the text argues that the new system is actually being permanently built. The transition has already been secretly agreed upon and will mark the rebirth of the financial system. In essence, he says that the current system must collapse so that the new one can emerge, and that the panic and crashes are part of a deliberate plan to destroy the existing financial system and replace it with another one. He concludes by saying that this process is unavoidable and cannot be stopped. Middle East. Trump reminds Iran it has 48 hours to reach an agreement or unleash hell in quotes. Trump fires 3 generals in a single day for refusing to send troops to Iran. Pete Hegseth dismisses 2 more generals because they refused to obey orders. In total, Hegseth has dismissed more than 12 generals, including the heads of the Navy and the Air Force. Fox News confirms that the White House is purging the Pentagon. The dismissal of generals in the midst of war shocks the U.S. Army. The second occupant of the F-15E fighter jet shot down by Iran has been located but not rescued. Iran authorizes the transit of ships carrying humanitarian aid and essential goods through the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranian army promises devastating attacks after bombing a bridge. Israel suffers a massive Iranian missile attack as the escalation intensifies. Israel awaits U.S. approval to attack Iranian energy facilities. According to Died Suddenly, the U.S. has only 1 week's worth of missiles left to defend its allies in the Middle East. Iran knows this and therefore has kept its largest and most advanced cruise missiles in reserve. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman reveals that President Obama gave Iran $150 billion and that the Revolutionary Guard didn't even build a single street with that money. Instead, they manufactured missiles and drones. In Europe, Ukraine attacked the Russian ship Arctic Metagas in the Mediterranean. Hungary demands the suspension of sanctions and restrictions on Russian energy products. The UK is the country most vulnerable to aviation fuel shortages. A Sky News report on global energy highlights the risk of dependence for the entire British Commonwealth. Americas. More than 500,000 homes in Mexico City are in high-risk areas. The U.S. removes Delcy Rodriguez from its sanctions list. Panama activates strategy to stabilize gasoline prices. More than 1,300 kilos of cocaine seized southwest of Nicaragua. Milei reaffirms the right to the full exercise of sovereignty over the Falkland Islands or Malvinas Islands. Bolivia's reserves fell to $52 million. Social movements in Bolivia have given the government a deadline to increase wages by 20%. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.